At a time when digital content is increasingly competing for people's attention, one organization is hoping to rekindle a love for books while creating new opportunities for local writers. The Aruka Soul Kitchen Authors Village will bring together authors from across the nation from a day of literary engagement, networking, and storytelling on June 27th at Wilson Field in Aruka from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Vice Chairperson Prudence Williams-Laborde says the initiative aims not only to provide a platform for writers to showcase their work, but also to encourage greater appreciation for reading, literacy, and Caribbean literature. She joins us this morning. Good morning, Prudence.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this amazing opportunity.
Absolutely. So can you tell us, how did the idea for this event came about, and what gap is trying to be filled within the local literacy community?
So the whole concept of the Author Village came about because, as an organization, Aruka Soul Kitchen, we're focused on, community, people development, and also, local entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. Based on, the UN Sustainable Development Goal of education, that's one of our big areas of focus. So last year we completed, our All About You Girls Workshop, which was amazing. And this year we thought it best to focus more on literacy through community engagement. Yeah. And I am an author myself, an author of 2 books, and having that perspective that there's never enough spaces for authors, particularly Caribbean authors, we grabbed on the opportunity to do so. In April, I think it was the UN's World Book and Copyright Day. Mm-hmm. And, we said we want to continue on that momentum to create a space for authors and to celebrate their work and also give them an opportunity to meet the public.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what can visitors, expect when they attend the village, but also what challenges do writers in Trinidad and Tobago face when, and even, trying to gain that visibility for connecting the community with readers?
So the first challenge with authors is visibility.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, as an author myself, I had to change that mindset that, I just wrote the book and the book would sell itself. People would find out about the book.
Right.
But me even being on social media was because of my book, because I've recognized the importance of just being visible. And if persons don't know about your book, then how would the message, because, your book is a powerful message. It's already etched in the fabric of the universe, and people need to know about it.
Yeah.
So visibility is one of the main issues that authors face. And our hope, and my hope, is that this is a platform for the authors, and because it's, the author and the community, it's a space even for the community to fall in love with reading again. So what can visitors expect? Visitors can expect to enjoy the beauty of Wilson Field because it's an outdoor event. Most of the times now we like to be more on the indoors, but this is an author village with a difference. It's in a beautiful outdoor setting. We're going to be having eats and drinks for sale. Part of the agenda would include authors getting the opportunity to read a little bit about their books, from their books, and to tell us about their books, to build that engagement. So it's not only an opportunity to get a sale, right, but the return on investment for the authors is that persons would get to know about them.
Yeah.
We want people to just enjoy this space. We want to create a little reading section, so persons could sit and relax and read and, just, walk around, engage the authors, ask them about their journey, ask them about their services, ask them about their books.
Yeah. I know you did touch on this, but I'm still going to ask you to elaborate a bit more in terms of how does that direct interaction between author and reader benefit both parties?
That interaction, it helps the book become real. It puts a face to the book,
Right.
Sometimes we see books on the shelves, we go into the library, we go into a bookstore, sometimes failing to realize that somebody actually influenced the creation of this book. Now, while we're in the era of AI and AI is doing a lot with writing even books at this point in time,
Right.
but there's still somebody behind there with a vision. So meeting the author helps the book comes alive, and it also brings a little bit of context and relevance. So, even with my book, The Everyday Leader, when persons read it and then they meet me, it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense. And then they ask questions and, it brings that clarity. What was the meaning behind The Everyday Leader? So it helps really close that gap, and it doesn't make the book and the author feel distant.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the event also aims to promote literacy. So do you
Yes.
believe reading habits have changed because of social media and even digital platforms?
Yes. So, now as I tell my clients, because I'm also a life coach, we go through the whole doom scrolling, and if a video is more than a minute or two, we move past quickly because it's like a dopamine shot, right?
Right.
We just want quick information, and we're all guilty of that, this microwave society and mindset, right? And because of that, reading has become more of a utility. Holding that physical book, it almost feels a little bit of the past, right?
Right.
But what I've realized is that reading and literacy is never out of style. To me, it's a life skill, but we have to approach it with intention. And once we have the spaces to do that, it reinforces the importance of reading. It reinforces the importance of, you could put on the phone for just 5 minutes, or even if you want to read and take a selfie, that's okay, right? But it just helps us put reading with a little more intention.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can initiatives like, the Author's Village encourage children, young people, and even adults to engage in reading more?
Again, once there's the opportunity and the intention behind it. While I showed my physical book just now, one of the authors who will be at the Village, an amazing writer of fictional stories. One of the books he shared with me recently is with this young boy from Aruga with a dream to play football, international football. And his books are all digital, by the way. But it was so captivating that it doesn't matter whether it's physical or digital.
Yeah.
And I love that he has his book and he's going to be having the screens to show the books and whatnot, to capture that young audience who may not always want the physical, but they have the digital, and yet it still fulfills the need of reading and literacy and captivating the audience and taking them on a journey through words.
Yeah.
Reading helps with the imagination, it helps with retention, it helps with just thinking, So I want persons to really embrace the importance of reading in what you call it, a non-traditional way. We're not in a library, we're not in a room, we're outdoors, you're getting to engage the people behind the book. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely did, and gave us a bit more to add in. So that was really good. Thank you. And
yes, I'm very passionate.
And that's what we need for communities like this, persons who are passionate enough to take that initiative to create spaces, which is important. Mm-hmm. Why would you say it's important for readers to engage with Caribbean and local literature? Also, what unique perspectives do local authors bring to the literary landscape?
I think what's important about local is that we are local.
Right.
And with local books, it just makes information more relatable. It's more relevant. It's tied to the fabric of our society.
Yeah.
You know, like going back to that fiction book, The Little Boy from Aruka. When I started to read, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm a South girl, right? And it just felt so homely. You know, when I read about the boy's background and he wants to play football to get out of poverty, it makes it feel real and relevant.
Yeah.
Local authors provide a local flavor that you would never get anywhere around the world. And, you know, local authorship is a real unique selling point for our country. You could go to Jamaica, Jamaican authors are different to Trinidadian authors. St. Lucian and St. Vincent authors are different to Trinidad authors.
Yeah.
We all have, yes, there may be some similarities, but there's a uniqueness about our local authorship that really makes a difference. Local writing, you know, when you think about the WESN, when you read his books, you just know you're in Trinidad, you know? So that flavor, it really adds, it makes a difference, rather. Yeah?
Yeah. And how can supporting local authors help preserve local stories and even cultural identity?
I mean, the question in itself actually answers it. It really preserves our culture in a time where, you know, we're so bombarded with international media, what's going on in the US, the UK, other parts of the world, that almost stifles our identity at some point in time.
Right.
When a book is written, that in itself is a piece of identity that now forms part of history. When you write a book, it's really and very rarely rescinded, right? So supporting local authors helps us to maintain and improve and increase our identity and to leave that mark in the world that we are Trinidadian authors and we have a story to tell.
Yeah.
We have a rich history and those books represent that. So please support local authors. I can tell you personally, it's not a cheap thing to write a book. It's now more accessible, but it takes some sweat and tears.
Yeah.
And when you support the author, you're really supporting the continuation of their work.
Absolutely. And beyond selling books, what impact do you hope this event will have on the wider community?
The impact that I expect is that one, they see Aruka Soul Kitchen as a place where learning is important, and we're also very big on community.
Yeah.
I want persons to know that reading is important. Again, it's a life skill, and we need to read with intention and know that there are places and spaces that are there to support you.
Yes, absolutely. And is this intended to be a one-time event, or do you hope to make it into an annual fixture?
My hope is to have it as an annual fixture. Now, there have been some author villages, so I always tell people this isn't compete, it complements.
Right.
As an author, the more opportunities you have to sell the book, the better. Right?
Absolutely.
You're able to get your money directly. You're able to see the people and who read your books, who may have an interest in your book. You get to see them directly. So this is one event that I would want annually to complement all of the other initiatives that we already have. And I hope that it encourages more persons to step up and step out and to push these types of programs. You know, we're hoping, you know, if persons would want to volunteer on the day, we've reached out to a few organizations to help with, you know, giveaways just to make it exciting. So if you all want to support, and I'm speaking to the public, please reach out to us. Our number is 368-5335. And you could follow us on Aruka Soul Kitchen 868 on Instagram.
Absolutely. Now, for that one person or someone out there who hasn't picked up a book in years, what would you say to encourage them to attend the Author's Village and reconnect with reading?
Just come with an open heart, an open mind, come curious, come just to even ask us, the authors, some hard questions. Why is it important to read? Why should I read your book? You know, just come. Even if it's to come and buy some popcorn on the day, or to buy a bottle of juice or something to eat. Just come, because you know, when you enter into these spaces, it changes your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And for that young upcoming authors, you know, looking on and they're seeing you be so passionate about it, and you know, that's the drive they're looking to continue on their own journey. What encouragement or words of advice would you leave with them?
I would say just start. Don't start perfectly. Just write what's been placed in your heart and in your mind. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So just write freely, write unapologetically, and then you reach out to persons who could help you on that publishing journey. You know, I've helped an author write her book in 7 weeks. So the process could happen quickly with support, but the point is, the story is yours, and you just write what's placed in your heart, and things would start to flow naturally.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prudence, for coming on this morning and being a part of the conversation.
You are most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. As I say, it is so important to have passionate persons like yourself, you know, to come about with spaces, initiatives like this, just to, as you said, you know, rekindle that spark, rekindle that flame, because reading does so much. You know, it takes you places, it widens the imagination, it makes you think, it stimulates brain.
Yes.
So it's important that there are spaces like this, there's initiatives like this still going on, and I would love, love to see this happening annually. So it's something we definitely can follow up on to ensure that, you know, the space is still there, persons feel welcome to come out and read and be a part of the experience.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.